my name's Jacob Bleasdale. I live in Buffalo, and I'm a second-year PhD student in community health and health behavior at the University of Buffalo.
What are your professional and career plans?
Professional career-wise, I really want a career in academia. My long-term dream has always to be able to start a center for LGBTQ research that works with local organizations to really get at the root of HIV prevention and HIV testing problems within the community. So my goal would be to start a center at a university and partner and work to make the community at large a healthier place for people to live in.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, it's a lofty goal, but I have to aim big. So
yeah, it's an area that needs like more attention.
Yeah, and I think we're getting better at it, but until we have like dedicated centers with people who are dedicated to working towards it and building community relationships, we never will get where we want to. So I think it's really important for that.
Briefly describe your involvement in LGBTQ plus organizations and efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my undergraduate career, I worked a lot on an internship in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. I did a lot of programming that focused around LGBTQ health issues. So I did a lot around patient-provider communication and also just some of the other health issues that faces the community. Currently now, a lot of my research involves the LGBTQ community. So I do a lot of work that looks at patient-provider communication. I'm also, and just a lot focused on HIV prevention within the community, but also within substance users and other marginalized communities that are affected by HIV. So that's kind of my involvement with organizations and efforts within the community.
So how has Embrace Western New York's grant that you received benefited you?
It's been extremely beneficial. So as a second year PhD student, we don't get a lot of funding to do our own research. So this grant has actually allowed me to be a principal investigator on my own work, be able to compensate participants for their involvement in my research study. And also it's kind of the stepping stone for my dissertation, I believe. So using this has been super beneficial to kind of gather that first initial data to kind of guide the development of an intervention that I plan to do for my dissertation. So it's been extremely helpful and valuable.
Why do you think an organization like Embrace Western New York is important in today's society?
I really think organizations like Embrace Western New York are vital to advocating for LGBTQ communities and rights and for educating the public. As much strides that we've made in the past couple of decades, there's still a lot of misconceptions about the community, and also a lot of people just, I think, are unaware of the differences within the community and also just generally unaware. So I think organizations like Embrace Western New York really help to educate the community and also to lift up those within the community, which I think is just vital for visibility and just for the general public to become more aware of the issues that we face and how we can tackle them together.
So this is my favorite one. So what advice do you have for LGBTQ plus youth?
I think the advice I would have for LGBTQ plus youth would be to always persevere and know that you have a community, even though at times it may not feel like you are within a community and you may feel very alone and isolated. Embrace has really taught me that there's a large community out there that embraces you, that loves you, and wants to support you in all of your endeavors. So I would really just tell someone there's a community out there for you, and perseverance will go a long way and will help you make you into the most unique, best person of yourself. I would just like to thank the donors that continually support Embrace Western New York. Without your support, research, and educational opportunities would not continue. And we are just very thankful for those opportunities that we have through this organization.
I'm Rick Banner. I work for People Incorporated, which is the largest agency in Western New York that gives services to people that are developmentally disabled. My job title is I'm the Director of Advocacy and Person-Centered Practice. So what I do is I help different groups that have developmental disabilities advocate for their rights, as well as help them lead a more self-determined life. We have one group in particular that we started in December of 2013, and that was a group that was targeted specifically for people that had developmental disabilities that were also LGBTQ. So we started that, and it gained momentum, and that group still continues to meet today, and it averages between 15 and 25 members. And what we do within that group is we do an educational component, because people with developmental disabilities sometimes are left out of the educational loop as far as what they, sexually, what they may have questions about, they don't feel comfortable asking other people in their lives. And so they feel more comfortable getting factual information in a group like this.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. So outside of that and your involvement with that organization and group within your workplace, can you briefly describe some of your other involvements with LGBTQ organizations and efforts in our greater community?
Sure. I've done some, I am a member of the Buffalo Bears. And I was a president for a couple of those years. The organization has been in our community for 20 years, and I've been a member for 18 plus years of that time. Within that organization, we've done a lot of work across the board with the Imperial Court and with all of the other communities within our gay community, all the subcultures or sub-communities, so to speak. We've done work with Bliss. We were able to sponsor pride flags for marching. We've attended events, fundraising events for Bliss. The Buffalo Bears were the recipient of an Embrace of Western New York award, and so I was able to participate in the brunch when that happened. So I've attended a lot of fundraisers. I've attended a lot of efforts that the Imperial Court has had in order to raise money. I've attended pride parades and been very supportive of the whole community.
That's awesome. So thinking of just your involvement within the community and in LGBT organizations and efforts. So why do you think organizations like Embrace Western New York are important in today's society?
I think it's important because even though we've come a long way, I'm, an older person that has seen the days where we were more repressed and oppressed. I think that it's really important to still have organizations like Embrace of Western New York, because it isn't over yet. We don't have the level of equality that every other person has. And until we have that level of equality, there's going to be need to continue to advocate. And I look at Embrace of Western New York as another way to support and advocate for people that are LGBTQ. I also think that Embrace of Western New York also has become almost a historian of our gay community, and through their awards they've captured different movements and different organizations that may no longer even exist, but through Embrace they still exist as award members.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I know you mentioned a couple of the issues that you are involved with and are very passionate about, but I was wondering if you could just talk about and explain to me a little bit about some other, or just elaborate about the LGBTQ issues that are most important to you and how you think Embrace Western New York can help with those issues.
Well, I think that, Embrace of Western New York, I think that they have been very generous with their scholarships to people that need money in order to educate themselves or to help the community at large, our gay community at large. And we really don't have another mechanism like that. So, for people that need just that little extra something so that they can be successful in leading their life quality as a member of the LGBTQ community, Embrace needs to be there. And we as a community need to support Embrace so that they can continue their mission.
If you could give any advice to some LGBTQ youth in our community, what would that advice be?
I think my advice would be to seek out the wisdom of older people. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to listen to the answers. I mean, it's one thing to ask a question and then just have your own answer developed in your head. Really be open to the response, because I think that, you know, through our experiences as older LGBTQ members of our community, we're going to have some wisdom to share. Again, life experiences is our greatest teacher, and some of those lessons the youth are going to have to learn on their own. But you know, you don't always have to repeat all of the mistakes that we've made in the past. Some things, you know, we're able to maybe help make it be less of a speed bump in your life. So
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. So listen.
I think listening is always some good advice. So
I agree.